So, his brother is trapped in this epic lifelong, deeply personal flame war online and doesn't realize that his archenemy is also his kid's godparent. What was the greatest length you went to just to duck with someone? What's up, my bro? Thanks for coming to another storytime, hosted by your favorite narrator, Andrew. I know you're going to love today's story. So if enjoy it, hit the like button. If you want to watch more storytimes with me, then subscribe. If you do, I'll go ahead Amazon Prime you mango jewel pods. No more waiting, let's get to the stories. I read an article about how some dude spent less than $2 on targeted ads on Facebook just to duck with his roommate. I replaced a colleague's desk with a small pink Disney princess dressing table, complete with a working computer. My best friend was living in Berlin for 6 months during an internship. While he was away, I visited him once. I live in NL and was 16, so I couldn't afford to go more often. When I got back, I started a rumor that he had gotten really fat from eating curry sausage. Every time the trip or the friend came up in conversation, I would sneak it in somehow. Even weeks after he came back, the first thing people would say when they saw him again was, "Hey, you're not as fat as I thought you'd be." One of my best friends in college. He was in a single room. I had a spare key. When he was in class, I went and carefully lined up glitter on top of the fan. Red, blue, green and yellow. Like 4 huge lines of coke on each blade of the fan. He comes back to the room, switches on the fan. Money shot. Farted multicolored glitter for the next 3 months. His boxers were shiny and his clothes fabulous. He would shower twice only to show up to class with glitter on his face like a gay vampire in the sunlight for a long time. I've held an Irish accent for the past 5 years of college. As an older student, almost 30, I thought it would be kinda funny, but now as far as everybody that I have classes with thinks I'm Irish. I'm in a fairly small major, so we only have about 5 professors who all know me fairly well, and the student pool is small, also, so for those that don't know, can't remember my name, I'm just referred to as the Irish guy. However, as I'm about a semester away from graduation, I've been dropping the accent and talking in my normal one, and I can tell it's starting to make people do a double take from time to time. My stepbrother is a master prankster. My personal favorite is when he ducked with his uncle by sending him Christmas cards from a made-up couple with photos he found on the internet. Hope you and the kids are doing well, etc. Love, Bill and Amy. He also included details only someone close to the family would know, and even had his friend stop by their house when their son was playing outside and asked him to tell his dad that Bill stopped by. It got to the point where it was driving the uncle insane. He had no idea who this mystery couple was because they didn't exist. In college, my friends and I made another friend's door completely disappear while he was out taking a final. The whole process included removing the door framing, installing new drywall over the door, installing new paneling, new wall texture with spackle to match existing, installing trim to match the surrounding, and painting everything to match. We had most of the supplies laying around, so we didn't have to go to great lengths monetarily, but we put a lot of effort in over the course of 30 to 45 minutes to make it all as complete as possible. Edit. Since I didn't really finish the story, he didn't take the joke too well. He kind of flipped his lid and smashed through it right away, wet spackle and all. No pics of the reaction, unfortunately. We were too busy laughing our asses off in the next room. Also, this was our fraternity house in which we could do pretty much whatever we wanted. With a complete lack of accountability and an abundance of materials, you can come up with some pretty great ways to duck with your friends. Back in AOL Instant Messenger days, I pranked a buddy of mine. Created a new AIM account and screen name, one that I wouldn't be tied to. Then I started messaging his account while running my own AIM in a different instance, meaning me and my prank account were both online. I made sure that when I typed using the prank account to have a different tone of speech and different personality altogether. Really. He began messaging me that this weird dude has been talking to him. This began an over hour-long session of him being suspicious, me trying to look up information on his screen name, and he even had me try messaging him as well. Eventually it all grew and culminated into a party chat with me, my prank self, and him. Me and him basically arguing with prank me over prank me, saying I was going to hack his PC. When enough was enough and the time was right, I started parroting everything the prank account said. He got confused, and then I started typing part of one sentence with prank account and finishing it with mine. When he caught on, he face-palmed straight through the earth and into China. Roommates and I set all the clocks forward an hour. Every single clock in the house, including the VCR. Our one buddy got up at 5 a.m. instead of 6 and went to work an hour early. At about 8 a.m. we got a text. "You guys are assholes." Edit. For the 30 or so people who were asking why he didn't just check his phone. This was in the early 2000s. All you had to do was flip the phone open and you could change the clock. Maybe some of you were just kids back then. You also had to press 7 4 times to get a letter S. It was crappy times. Not a super long process, but more effort than I usually take to duck with someone. As a young boy with an older brother who always tried scaring me or beating on me, I often thought of ways to duck with him indirectly. So one day I had the bright idea to cut the top of his deodorant off and replace it with cream cheese. I had to sculpt it on to make it look like the deodorant and even poke the little hole in the middle to make it look as real as possible. Then it was time for the waiting game. I knew it had worked when he came into my room a couple days later and beat the crap out of me. Worth it. In retaliation for a prank played upon on one of my group of friends at the time by the landlord of a pub, owner of a bar for US folks, we systematically stole glasses from the bar over a period of several months, just a few now and then. It was a big place, so not really enough to be noticed amongst the usual losses and breakages. The number of glasses soon mounted, and there were over 300 by the time we returned them all surreptitiously on one night. They had beer swilled in them to make them look used and were placed on various tables around the place. I am assured that there was much puzzlement, and it was most amusing at the end of the night when the staff attempted to put the glasses away. In college, I sat down by my friend who was studying one day. Noticed she had placed her keys on the table beside her and wasn't paying attention. She was going to be there for a while, so I grabbed her keys when she wasn't looking. We had a small hardware store just off campus, less than 2 minutes walk from where we were. Made like I was going to get a soda, ran to the hardware store, and had them make a copy of her car key. Then I returned her keys to her unnoticed. For the rest of the year, whenever I passed by her car and knew she wasn't nearby, I would move the car over several spaces or turn it around in the parking spot. She really thought she was going crazy. For years, one of my main business competitors was a D-bag with a crappy British accent that he thought was charming. The cunt would try to poach my employees every year at a big industry trade show. I finally had enough and decided to have some fun with him. I got a whole bunch of my friends and colleagues to act very shocked and surprised when they saw him at the conference. Whenever they would see him walk by, they would call out his name loudly, Marvin. Not his real name, obviously. I thought you were dead. I heard you had a heart attack last month, or last week, or a few days ago. Just ad-lib this bit. Then when he would ask where they heard it, they would always be vague. Your name came up in a conversation the other day, and some guy I dunno his name, I only see him here at these shows, told me you had passed suddenly. After 3 days of this over and over, he was really getting pissy and wanted to know who had started the rumor. But his reaction got better every time it happened, and pretty soon people I didn't even know were having a go at him. From what I heard, 10 years later he still has people come up to him and go, "Jesus, Marvin, you're alive." If he knew it was me, he'd probably shoot me. Duck you, Marvin. A friend of mine, who is the polar opposite of his older brother when it comes to politics, started trolling his brother on the internet for fun. This began pretty much at dawn of the internet and he's never stopped. From the time his brother started posting in the early 90s on message boards up through today, he has encountered the most virulent opposition to everything he says. Often, the oppositional posters will use their own words against him, pulling quotes from his posts that are years old, from message boards that don't even exist anymore. My friend just copies and saves his posts as he goes, says it's easy, kind of like his hobby. The brother has gotten freaked out and changed usernames several times, but my friend always finds him again, usually by simply asking his brother what his new username is, and picks it right back up. This has been going on for over 20 years. So, his brother is trapped in this epic, lifelong, deeply personal flame war online and doesn't realize that his archenemy is also his kid's godparent. It's just so twisted. Thanks for watching. What did you think of the story time? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any more story times.